All right, everybody, just heading to the studio. Going to be a hell of a show today. Catherine O'Hara is here.
Put this in the recycle.
Hi.
It wasn't you.
Hi, Catherine. Nice
hi, George.
Hi,
Wasn't you, right?
Wasn't me. So Catherine's here. Theron Fleury's here.
Hi, boss. How are you?
Good. Theo, you ready for the show?
I'm ready.
All right, excellent. All right, I'm going to start the program. This is the hour.
Nice to see you. Welcome to our little television program in Canada. This is your talk show. I'm your boyfriend, George Stroumboulopoulos, and there you go. Hey. I'll be right back. I'll just get You know the bigger screen? Catherine O'Hara is here tonight. Unbelievable. One of the most famous children's books of all time, Where the Wild Things Are. Catherine's in. Who doesn't love a story about a kid who gets to misbehave, run roughshod with a bunch of huge monsters, and still gets to come home to a hot meal? AKA the dream. So that'll be nice. But before we get into all of it, a quick shout out, if we can, to Gibbons, British Columbia. Gibbons, you may know it because it was the home of the Beachcombers, but now the United Nations has named it the best place to live with a population under 20,000. If you're wondering why it took so long, we had to wait for that jerk Relic to move to heaven. Actually, in this country, we all love our small towns. And most of us only know other small towns because of hockey players. It's on the back of a hockey card. You know where they're from based on that. People know Bobby Orr, Parry Sound, Ontario. I know Flin Flon, Manitoba. If you're from it, you know it. But if not, you just know Bobby Clark. Thurso, Quebec, Guy Lafleur. And of course, Brantford, Ontario. Everybody knows it because of number 99, Wayne Gretzky. Incidentally, by the way, it was 30 years ago today that Gretzky scored his first NHL goal against Vancouver. Gretzky had a lot of promise. Whatever happened to him? I guess he never really took off. I mean, he had a weird career as a coach, but is that all we know him for now? And of course, there's also Russell, Manitoba. Russell, Manitoba is where Mr. Theron Fleury grew up. Theron is here tonight. There you go. Of course, Theron Fleury, most famous Calgary Flame, has got a new book called Playing with Fire. No doubt you've heard about it. This is a book that goes into some really difficult subject matter, stuff that he's personally connected to, and I've read it. It's a heavy read. It's a hell of a read, too, so I'm looking forward to talking to Theron Fleury about this. Theron Fleury is here. We'll talk about the sexual abuse. We'll talk about fake drug tests, and this is his first television interview that you're going to see about this. So Mr. Fleury, in a moment, first his bio.
George, I don't have to tell you, but Theron Fleury is a fighter. He grew up in Russell, Manitoba, dirt poor, so hockey was his way out. He played junior in Moose Jaw, but at 5'6", he was told he was too small to make the NHL. Well, Theo ignored that. He became a star in junior and played for Canada twice at the World Championships, including 1987, when Canada and the Soviets had a huge brawl.
This is not permitted.
Both teams were disqualified, but the next year, Theo and Canada won gold. From there, he made the jump to the Calgary Flames. As a rookie, Theo won the Stanley Cup. In '95, he became captain and became one of the Flames' all-time greats.
Corey delays, takes a shot, he scores! Fleury and drive, he scores! Big goal for the little big man. Fleury is going to lock and load, and he scores!
Later in his career, he signed with the New York Rangers, and in 2002, won gold with Canada at the Olympics. But off the ice, Theo was struggling. He was drinking, doing drugs, gambling. The NHL suspended him twice, and by 2003, he was done. For the past 4 years, Theo's been sober, and this past fall, at 41, he tried a comeback with the Flames.
We'll see what he does here. He moves forward straight to the out and then in tight the deep. He scores!
Theo didn't make it, but he left in peace. Now he's written a book about his life. It's called Playing with Fire, and in it, Theo says he was sexually abused by his former junior coach, Graham James.
Everybody, please welcome Theron Fleury. How are you, man? Great. Man, it must be something for you to get all this out there.
Oh yeah, it's been interesting for sure. The last, I guess, week and a half has been interesting.
You know, when former athletes, because athletes do, I mean, generally they do a really good job of of maintaining that dressing room conduct, right? You never really hear much about them. They keep it quiet. When they write books, maybe there's one or two little things that come out, but generally they're kind of boring reads. Then all of a sudden your book comes out, man, and it's you're really honest about your life, the things that happened to you and the things that you did to yourself, all of that. Sexual abuse, drug abuse, all that stuff. How did you get to decide now's the time to write this book, now's the time to tell this story?
Well, I think, you know, I needed to get sober first and get some good sobriety under my belt. And about a year after I got sober, I thought, you know, I think that it's important for me to let my fans understand why things kind of went off the rails towards the end of my NHL career. And, you know, at that time I was comfortable and you know, one of the gifts of sobriety is that you get really honest, and you know, the book is as honest as I could possibly be, and it's an important topic, and it's a topic that needs to be talked about more. You know, 1 in 6 men are sexually or molested at some point in their life, and to me that's a pretty staggering figure. And
you never hear about it.
No, and you never hear about it. And that's I guess, the power of abuse, and the reason why that doesn't get talked about. So
between the abuse, the substance abuse, also with the sexual abuse, is there something about the culture in Canadian hockey that makes it difficult to deal with this? And I ask this because I refuse to believe that the WHL did not know about Graham James. I refuse to believe that. I mean, there are guys in the National Hockey League now who have, in management positions, who have spotty records, and these people know this stuff, and everybody's protecting them. There was shit that was happening at Maple Leaf Gardens, and people in the Gardens knew what was going on with the ushers, and all these kids just get sent in there to be terrorized. What's happening inside the culture of hockey in this business where these guys are being protected?
Well, I think when Sheldon came forth with his stuff, that there are now programs in place that monitor these people a lot more closely than they did in the past. You know, obviously, with me coming out today with my accusations, that you know, we've once again, you know, put an emphasis on this.
But did you feel abandoned by the people that were supposed to protect you at a young age?
You know what, I can't get involved in that right now. You know, I think I'm pretty happy where I am today. Obviously there's more to come. More will be revealed, as I like to say.
Right. You're talking about legal proceedings, right?
Yeah, that, and you know, who knows what's going to spill out of that.
Right.
You know, I have a tremendous support of people around me, and you know, like I said, we're going to try and keep this topic going as long as we can, because I think that it's, you know, like you said, it's been around for a long time, and the power that abuse has is that we're just going to keep sweeping it under the rug. We're going to keep sweeping it under the rug, and hopefully I can be one of those guys that says, no, this ain't going to happen anymore. And if you're looking for some really good information, if you're sitting at home and you're on your couch and you've gone through this, there's a great website that I've just become involved with. It's called 1in6.org, and it has a whole bunch of information on there. It's just an informational website with great information as to, you know, they even have some resources to find help and whatnot. So, you know, it's a good start.
1in6.org.
1in6.org.
You talked about Sheldon. You and Sheldon Kennedy experienced a lot of similar things. You were on the same team when he came out with his accusations, and he never mentioned you. Obviously, he respected your privacy. But what was that like for you when you're on the same bench as this guy who's going through this and talking about it?
Yeah, well, I can say probably at that point in my life, that's when my life started to, because I thought it was buried, dead, and gone, and we'll never have to talk about it again. And you know, that's when, you know, I started into the hardcore drugs, using cocaine, and then, you know, you mix it with the alcohol, and I'm telling you, for any kind of pain that you're suffering, that's a good mixture. And
he means it's a good current mixture, but he doesn't mean that it's a good long-term fix. I'm assuming, right?
No. We all know what happens at the end.
Yeah, we all know what happens at the end.
Yeah. When you add the cocaine in, it goes down real fast, real quick. So, but at that point in my life, I was so not ready to be able to deal with that. And I think if I would have jumped on the train, that I wouldn't be here today, because I wouldn't have been able to deal with it.
Well, there's talk about you being suicidal, right? There was talk about that.
Oh yeah. And that, I was living in Santa Fe, New Mexico, by myself in like this huge place. I had 2 acres of property, and I was there by myself, and basically just hiding away, drinking and drugging myself to death. And then, in a coke-induced psychosis, I went to a pawn shop and bought a gun and a bullet and went home and, tried to kill myself, but I was too chicken to do it. So thank God that I didn't. And I think from that day forward was huge for me, because I really never had a relationship with myself ever. I'd always been either in a relationship and then the Graham stuff, and so I was really bad at relationships. And the worst one I was in was the one with myself. And I remember I made a promise to myself. I locked myself in the house for 30 days, and because I knew that I had to start having a relationship with me, because that was the only way that I was going to be able to move forward. And I only gave myself permission to go to the mailbox and go get food. Otherwise, I had to stay in the house by myself for those 30 days. And I'm telling you, it was crazy. To really.
Did you watch a lot of bad TV?
No, I just really tried to, be still with myself and be still with my thoughts, because whenever I was in that situation before, because it reminded me of the dark room with the Graham stuff, right? Yeah. And every time I was in that position, I would run and go, to those places, the bars, the strip clubs, and hang out with shady people, because that's who I thought I was at the time, and that's where I felt comfortable. But those 30 days were like kind of a breakthrough, and just so happens while I was going through that, my oldest boy, Josh, who was 16 at the time, called me and said, "Dad, what the hell are you doing in Santa Fe? You need to get your ass back to Calgary." And so I moved back, and Josh and I got a place together, and we started, repairing our relationship together, and then I started playing hockey up in Horse Lake, which was crazy.
A crazy league, right?
Crazy league. And then I met Jennifer, and then after I met Jen, then we both got sober together. We went to Belfast, of all places, and
because if I want to get sober, I'm going to Ireland.
Where there's a pub every 5 feet, it's been a long, arduous process, but we're here and we're alive and we're breathing, and we're ready to help people now.
When you get into that relationship with somebody, and you know that there's this elephant in the room in your story that you need to share with somebody. That's the listen, baby, we got to talk moment. And you're dropping a bomb. What's that like now you're sober? You've had your 30 days alone with yourself. When you actually get a sense you're going to be better now. What's that talk like?
Well, I think it's a talk that probably needed to happen like a long time ago. But the best part was being with somebody that when you tell them, there's no judgment. Yeah. It's like, thanks for sharing,
What a relief that would have been for you.
Yeah, absolutely, because that's the power that it has, that you think that you're going to be criticized and whatnot. And, I know by me coming out, and I've done interviews all day long, that they're only focusing on 3 things. And that's the graphics of the abuse. Why did I get involved with the hitmen? And is there going to be charges pressed? Well, I think we're getting, we're not getting the right message out, that there's lots of people that need support from the media. so that they can be able to come out and tell their story. And if you're going to get criticized for something that wasn't your fault, I don't know if I'm going to risk that and put myself out there. But, I felt that I was strong enough, and I have a great amount of support, and now I got you on my team, so I'm happy about that. So.
Which, listen, as a Habs fan in the 80s and in the 90s, the sitting across from a Calgary Flame, not good, right? What did it mean to you? You were the most beloved Calgary Flame for a long, long time, and then that for a long time when you walked down the streets of Calgary, people looked at you like just a guy that blew himself up and flamed out, right? What was that moment like when you lost that position in the mind of the Albertans? Not the Edmonton, because they never liked you.
Yeah. Well, I got a cheer when I went back there this year, so that was pretty cool. I was probably disappointed that it was my own fault that I was thought of that way, and I think what I want everybody to know is, hey, you know what? I made all these choices, I made all these decisions, and the consequences for my actions were such. Now, I think I was able to kind of turn this thing around by the comeback this year, and
what a goal!
And going out in kind of style. I remember Jen said to me after the game, she's like, "Why don't you just open the back gates and just run out of the stadium, jump in your truck, and drive home with your equipment on, because you can't do anything more than that."
Take a break and scores. Even your own teammates.
Yeah. So I feel.
Did you feel like you got to now retire on your terms?
Yeah, absolutely. And I knew that the Friday, the day I got released, I jumped in my truck, and as I was leaving the Saddledome, I was like, it's over.
Yeah.
And I knew it was over. And I called Jen, and she was like, what are you talking about? You could go play somewhere else. I'm like, you know what? But what can I accomplish, Yeah. The only thing that would have topped what I accomplished in training camp was going to another team and winning a Stanley Cup, and that's not, you can't really pick the team who's going to win.
Right.
And so it was a great experience. I loved being with the guys. The guys were tremendous. Jerome and Craig Conroy and Phaneuf, and those guys they treated me really well.
Well, Theo's got a lot of great moments in his career. We've got some photos, so we're going to go through a little photo album with Theo Fleury, and he'll tell you about those stories. More with him when we come back. Here's you and Garth Brooks. I'm not going to lie to you. I love you, Theo, but that hat's awful.
Yeah. With those glasses.
Those glasses are pretty great. Hey, stick around the program tonight. Catherine O'Hara is still to come from Where the Wild Things Are. It'll be great to have Catherine on the show. More of a conversation here with Darren Fleury. Okay, a couple things before we go, just straight up hockey things. You played against Gretzky, especially when he's an LA King, member of the Kings. There's always, all these old-timers always say there was an unwritten, unspoken rule in the NHL that nobody went after Gretzky. You played when people were supposedly protecting him. Was there an unspoken rule not to go after Gretzky?
I went after him every game I could.
He must have hated it. But he was one of your first games. Didn't you jump on Baumgartner's back and Gretzky helped you out?
Yeah, and as I'm skating back to the bench, I'm thinking to myself, well, do I sucker Gretzky here and start, World War III? And I've actually told him this story, and he had a good laugh about it.
Well, Gretzky, I think didn't he pick you up off the ice and get you to the bench the first time?
He took me to the bench and said, hey, kid, you need to get the bench. Because I was basically split. I split my forehead, and I was, it was like the old WWF wrestling. Yeah. I was just covered in blood. But
in your book, even though it is a bit of heavy read, and it's exciting in parts of it, you talk about what a crazy rock star life that you had, and there's some real lows in this book and some highs as well. I want to see some pictures that we found. Let's take a couple of pictures up here. This, of course, every Saturday night, hockey night in Canada, people see this picture because there's video of you sliding across the number 1-4. Tell me about this moment.
Well, it was the biggest goal I ever scored as a Calgary Flame, and against that series was like.
Was this Game 6 that goal?
Yeah, Game 6 to go to Game 7, but that was like the English and the Scots fighting with each other. you know how the guys slash each other now? Yeah. We were full baseball swings, like across the arms, across the back. You go in front of the net, there'd be just toothpicks everywhere because, Bookaboo and Smith would be breaking sticks over your back. But
there still seemed to be a lot of finesse. It seemed like a great era.
I loved the era that I played in, and, there was a lot of real men that played in that time, but that was just an unbelievable moment to
experience. There's another picture I want to show here. The caption in the book is one of the best things I ever slept with. Look at this picture here. That's in your head you're going through all this dark stuff in your life, and then you've got this moment. What's that moment like?
Wow. What happened in my rookie year as a Flame, it's just, and I don't think I could have been a part of a better group of guys than that team. To be a rookie coming in the league and getting tutored by Lanny McDonald and Jim Plinsky, Tim Hunter, you're never going to see another group of individuals.
And it was a great moment when you guys won the Cup because it was the end of Lanny's career.
Yeah.
And it was like Lanny got to go, even though you guys beat my Habs, and even the Hab fans, we beat you in 86, even the Hab fans the Flames, it was their time.
Yeah.
It felt special. How about this picture right here? We talked a little bit about the great one, you and Wayne Gretzky. Gretzky was huge in your career. The Olympic gold medal you have, I think there were a lot of people didn't want you on that team, but Gretz stood up for you, right?
I went to Wayne's fantasy camp this year and helped him out, and at the banquet at the end of the camp, he basically said to everybody, I went in as the executive director of Team Canada in 2002, and he basically said, I want to pick one guy. And he said, I want Theo Fleury on the team because I think he's the biggest big game player that's playing right now. And to have Wayne Gretzky say that about you, when he played with a guy like Glenn Anderson and Mark Messier and these kind of guys, that he said that about me was unbelievable. And Wayne and I have always had a kind of a special kinship, and we don't talk to each other all the time on the phone, but when we do get together, we have a tremendous amount of respect for each other, and I would go through a brick wall for that guy.
Nice. There you go. That's the great. Now, this is, for some people, Gretzky might be the most famous person to be photographed with, and for others, it's this picture right here. Here's you and Garth Brooks. I'm not going to lie to you. I love you, Theo, but that hat's awful.
Yeah. How about those glasses?
Those glasses are pretty great. Tell me about that moment.
Yeah. Well, I've always been a country fan because I grew up on the prairies, and in the book, I come from a long line of jiggers and country music. So, I always loved Garth Brooks, and I was able to get to a concert in Calgary and get to meet him. I actually knew the promoter that was doing the show, so it was kind of a neat thing. And Garth Brooks was actually at the World Cup in '96 in Ottawa, and a bunch of his guys that were in his band came out and practiced with us. So nice. So I heard he's good buddies with Barry Trotz, who's the coach of the Predators. So
maybe you should get down there and help them out a bit.
I should. Maybe.
Are you going to get back? Are you going to get into hockey at all in a coaching capacity? Are you going to get involved with the game again?
You know what? I'm just kind of thinking about it right now. I'd love to be involved in hockey somehow because I've had so many winning experiences through my hockey career that I think there's a place somewhere in the game for me. I don't know what that looks like yet, but we'll see what happens.
The book is called Playing with Fire. It's a hell of a read. It's a must read, especially if you have a kid in hockey. Theoren Fleury, everybody. Good to see you, man.
Thanks, man.
All right, stick around. We'll be right back with News Catherine O'Hara.
It's just, I've loved that story my whole life.
Me too, yeah.
Catherine O'Hara. Hi. I know you're going on in a second, but I just heard you were in Wild Things, and that is one of my favorite movies.
Really?
Oh my God, Nev Campbell and Denise Richards in the pool. That scene, there's so much chemistry. Where are you? Because I don't.
Not in that movie. Not in that one. No, I mean Where the Wild Things Are. Based on a book.
Is that a sequel to Wild Things?
Not that I know. I don't think so, no.
Great to meet you. Have a good interview.
Who is that sad, uneducated fellow?
That's Adam, and he has no class. Can I just say, I loved you in Waiting to Exhale.
Wasn't in that either. I don't know. Are you thinking Waiting for Guffman or something?
No, I don't think so.
I think George is waiting.
All right, come on in. Welcome back to the program. The hour continues. Very excited, everybody. The show is happening. Catherine O'Hara is on the program. I'm always excited to have Catherine O'Hara on the show. Hear that song in the background? Hear that song? Can we take a listen to that again? Here it comes, here it comes. Everybody across Canada. I'm looking at East Saskatchewan. Say it with me. Wait, here we go. 1983. So last night, I'm sitting at home watching the Calgary Flames Columbus Blue Jackets game alone, because that's how rock and roll I am. And I'm watching this game, and you know, one of the stoppages in play, the DJ in Columbus, God love this person, she or he, had no idea they'd reach me. They played this Def Leppard song from 1983. And I'm not an overly sentimental guy. I'm not, but I think as I'm getting older, I become more and more sentimental. And I become sentimental about things that don't even count. Like all of a sudden, I was sitting there by myself and I heard this Def Leppard song and I went, oh my God. I was the first cassette I ever bought, was Pyromania by Def Leppard, the first one ever. And so I went online and I started to look at all the old album artwork of Def Leppard Pyromania. I spent the entire night last night YouTubing old Def Leppard videos. I swear to God. But not the stuff from the Hysteria album on. You know, the Hysteria album I don't have. It's these three records. Anything pre the album Hysteria that I was talking about, more specifically, Pyromania, and I forgot how awesome Def Leppard was. Now, the problem with Hysteria was when it came, that's when it no longer was my band, it became my sister's band. Somebody actually posted the same thing on the Twitter page last night, because I shared this thought on Twitter, and everybody started to respond, and it got me thinking. Canada, I have a request for you. If you have a band, and your band is good, I need you to get together and cover Def Leppard songs. But here's the thing, you gotta cover Def Leppard songs, not from the Hysteria album on. People are going, oh George, you should check out Taylor Swift's cover of Pour Some Sugar on Me. First of all, you gotta understand, Pour Some Sugar on Me is not what I'm talking about. That's the wrong era. And number two, I said music. Taylor Swift doesn't count. I'm talking about, holler! Oh, I'm kidding. I'd pull a Janet Jackson if she was here. I'd let her have her speech too. Sam Roberts, I know you're watching. Gord Downey, I know you're watching. Sloan, I know you're watching. All the other people, you know, Led Zeppelin, I know you're watching. Def Leppard, I know you're watching. Cover Def Leppard songs from the Pyromania before. Send it to me, thehour@cbc.ca. Here's why. Start a new radio show on Radio 2 every Sunday night on CBC Radio. It's called The Strombo Show, and I want to play Def Leppard covers. So if you have a band out there and you think you can pull off the Pyromania and Before Leopard, send them to me, thehour@cbc.ca. You think you guys can handle that? Want to play some Leopard? An awful lot happened in the world today, everybody. Here's Mile a Minute. I actually fell asleep last night to Bring It On the Heartache, okay? And I woke up in the morning, that song was still playing on YouTube. I had awesome dreams. Let's start, if we can, with everyone's favorite street. Not Sesame Street, not Electric Avenue, but this one, Wall Street. Remember a year ago, global economy was collapsing, banks were being bailed out left and right, and the White House got all high and mighty, and they promised to get tough on all the over-the-top salaries and bonuses. Remember stuff like this?
We let the schemes of a reckless few put the world's financial system and our people's well-being at risk.
There you go, laying it down. No more of the same old, right? So where are we today? Well, according to the Wall Street Journal today, the paper of record of these things, major U.S. financial companies plan to pay their employees $140 billion this year. And my friends, that is a record. Record payouts. And you thought there was a recession. So just to recap, because I know you've had a long day, Wall Street got an $800 billion bailout just to stay alive, and now it's paying out record salaries. I wonder what the American people think of that. Hard to say, but two letters are sure to come to mind, F and U. Speaking of records, good news for the American military. For the first time in 35 years, they've met their annual recruitment goals. In fact, they've actually exceeded their recruitment goals. This past year, nearly 170,000 people signed up for the good old Army and related military organizations. It's amazing what a recession can do for a war or two. Next up, global warming. A big UN conference in Denmark. We talked a bit about it with Mr. Flannery last night on the show. World leaders are hoping to get a new deal done on climate change to replace the Kyoto Accord. One of the goals is to reduce the amount of oil that's used around the world. Guess who doesn't like that? Oil-producing nations like Saudi Arabia. You see, if the rest of the world cuts back on oil, they expect to be compensated. That's what they said, seriously. So if we stop buying their oil, we should just pay them anyway. I'm not sure that's how business works. How'd you guys ever get so rich? You see, if you have something we need, we buy it. If we don't need it anymore, we're not obligated to pay you. Actually, Saudi Arabia, if you're smart, think of this as a win-win. Start selling your sand, because as the Arctic ice melts, there's going to be a lot of new beaches to supply. Finally, airport security. I know you love it. I take a lot of airplanes. I see you smiling when you have to take up your belt and your shoes and you forget the keys in your pocket and your fucking change and all that. And then you walk through the metal detector. You hate that, right? Well, that may be easier for you now. New kind of technology is being tested in Canada at the airport in Kelowna. It's a scanner that can see right through your clothes. Now, hold on. Don't show the picture yet. I need to say that. When I say it can see, I mean it can see everything. All your who's-its and your whatnots. Look at this. It sees the whole production. Top to bottom, in and out. Officials say that this is actually less invasive than when they pat you down. At least the pat down, you get an accidental touch and it feels good. But I think a lot of security guards are going to be saying, oh, I'm sorry, ma'am, there's a technical issue. We're going to need you to walk through that machine one more time. All right, you're back here. There you go, the airport security thing. I said, come on for 1 second, everybody. I want to see this one. I was just thinking, it was great to have Theron Fleury on the show. Let's grab this. Theron Fleury was really important to a lot of people. What's your name, buddy?
Mike.
Mike, nice to see you. Look at Mike's jersey, and look at Mike's license plate that he brought in. So. Thank you, buddy. Thanks, Mike. I just want to say, and this is, you know, if Canada, if you want to watch, that's fine, but this is directly to the organization of the Calgary Flames. 1,084 games, 1,088 points, more than a point a game player, a Stanley Cup, an Olympic gold medal. I think he's got a World Junior medal. He was also in that great brawl in Pierre Stanley. Number 14 should be raised to the rafters in the Saddle Dome. It should be up there. Get that jersey up there. My friend Aaron was texting me back and forth from Calgary last night. Say, tell Theron Fleury that we all want his jersey raised. 14 goes to the rafters. If our next guest were to wear a jersey, it would be raised in the Comedy Hall of Fame. The wonderful Catherine O'Hara returns. Here's her bio.
So Canada's known for its comedians, right? Well, as far as women go, Catherine O'Hara might just be our greatest claim to fame. If you grew up watching SCTV, and I know you did, George, you know Catherine worked with the best. Yeah, a bit of a boys' club. But Catherine held her own.
I used to think you had to cook a TV dinner in the TV set.
Classic. Not bad for someone who started waiting tables. Yep, Catherine was 19 when the Second City Troupe opened in Toronto, and she got a gig there, waitressing at first. But before long, she was on stage, understudying for the late, great Gilda Radner. Fast forward to 1976, Second City became a TV show. Yep, SCTV. And Catherine and Company shot to fame. But did you know this? Catherine also worked for Saturday Night Live. Don't remember her? That's because she never made it to air. She didn't like it and quit after just a week. But that didn't stop her. Catherine took her zany style to Hollywood. Remember her in Beetlejuice?
It's a little private joke that Lydia and I share.
Home Alone?
Kevin!
Or all those Christopher Guest mockumentaries?
She was very popular back then. She had dozens of boyfriends.
Hundreds. Catherine has also done a lot of voice work over the years, and she's at it again. She's Judith, a.k.a. one of the Wild Things, in the new film adaptation of the kids' book, Where the Wild Things Are.
Come out! No! Why not? Because when I said you're going to hit us in the head with dirt, you didn't say anything!
Everybody, this is Catherine O'Hara. You should take a look at that picture. Let's get that picture up there. So there's two stages of Catherine O'Hara's career, and then take a look at the third one. There you are, Judith, on the far left.
Now, which one's me today?
Is that your good side?
Yeah, there you go.
Hi, how are you?
Hello, George. How are you?
I'm very well. How's your life?
Very good, thank you.
Nice. Did you read Where the Wild Things Are? It's nice to be alive. Yes, it is,
yes.
isn't it?
Yes.
Had you read the book when you were a kid? Did you come?
I have the book on tape.
You have the book on.
It's 10 sentences long, the book.
But it's a lot of pictures.
No, I did. No, as a child, we didn't read in our house. We had 7 kids.
There was no reading.
I don't remember a book. I should ask my sister. I have some siblings here. I wonder if they remember books.
Did you guys ever read that book, Where the Wild Things Are? Yeah, okay.
Maureen, My sister Maureen, I think she bought it in 1963, but she, and then later she read it to her son, all her 4 kids, 4 sons, and I read it to my sons, or did, you know. They're 12 and 15 now. We read it, and it's a great book for a parent to read because it's 10 sentences long, and it's and it was still hot. Go to sleep.
Yep. Hey man, everybody wants a good hot meal. When children's books are made into films, there is a lot of pressure, especially when books are this well loved.
Yeah.
Where the Wild Things Are is this monumental book. When the trailer was released, people were freaking out.
I know.
What was it like to get involved in that?
I feel cool by association.
It's a Spike Jonze movie, right?
I know. I love Spike Jonze, and I've always been jealous of the people that got to work with him, and so now I did. Yeah, and that book I love, and the illustrations are amazing, aren't they? Maurice Sendak did the illustrations as well. Yeah, and it is scary to do an adaptation, film adaptation, but Maurice Sendak had Spike's back the whole way, and fought for it the way they want it to be, and it leaves as much to the imagination as a movie can, because a book can do that, and a movie, you know, for the most part can't. But the way they've done it really does manage to leave open spaces. And, you know, I've talked to adults who cry because they remember being a 9-year-old, and it brings them back to a time that they weren't really conscious of at the time, because kids don't analyze themselves. And, you know, and kids just enjoy, like my 15-year-old, we saw it last week, and Alexander, the goat-looking wild thing, gets knocked off his feet and flips. That's a really funny effect, and you know, falls on the ground when someone hits him with a mud clot. And my son, I mean, for 5 minutes, like, okay. Why do you love that so much?
Hey man, somebody gets shot in the face. It's funny, right?
It is.
But you mentioned Morris, the author, had Spike's back. Did you guys, did the actors, because James Gandolfini, James Caan, isn't this right?
James Caan, no.
No, didn't James Caan one of the voices in the book?
James Gandolfini.
Gandolfini's in the book, but also...
Forrest Whitaker. Paul Dano, who was in Little Miss Sunshine. He plays that Alexander's foot, his arse. Forrest Whitaker. Lauren Ambrose. Catherine Keener plays the mother. This young boy named Max Records, who never acted before.
He's amazing.
Oh, you've seen his face. I know he's beautiful in the movie.
Did you guys talk to Morris before this? Did you get a conversation with the guy who put the book together?
Yeah, when we were all cast, we went to Spike's house and had an eye chat with him. We never met. I didn't meet him till last night, but yeah, we had a live eye chat with him, and Spike just said, "Tell him about the book, and tell him about the book coming out, and tell him what you feel about children and children's entertainment and children's books and movies." And I swear to you, I laughed during this time. I cried. Like, by the end of it, oh my God, what a beautiful, beautiful man.
What did you cry at? What got you crying?
He was just so respectful of children. And this won't make you cry. This isn't the part that made me cry, but, you know, he talks about children will go see any movie and almost love any movie because they're just so excited to be in a theater. You know, looking at a big screen, and the big sound in it is always big for kids, big and loud movie. You know, and they'll be so forgiving and so loving about whatever you give them that you should respect that and give them the best and play to their highest intelligence. And this book and this movie does, I think.
Such a beautiful place to be.
Yeah, he's a cool man.
And then while all that's happening, the guys from the Jackass, because Spike Jonze helped make Jackass, that's his series, right?
I know.
And so all of a sudden, on this very serious Where the Wild Things Are, the Jackass guys show up?
Yeah. He's in a lot of Jackasses, too.
Oh, yeah, totally.
He's in a lot of bits, play old ladies.
But what did what did they do? Did you and Steve-O give tattoos on people's asses? Like, what happened?
Have you seen Steve-O's back?
It's pretty great, isn't it?
He's got his own face out like this. You rock. His whole back is his own face. You got one there, you know. Look in the mirror. Yeah, we had we recorded in a pack. I mean, normally when you do voices for animated films or whatever, you're by yourself in a studio with a mic, depending on the director, whoever telling you what's going on around you. And in this case, we had each other. The Wild Things were all together, and we recorded for about a month. And we had microphones on our heads so that we could move freely. Like the Wild Things sleep in a pack. We actually slept, we didn't fall asleep, but we were actually in a pile.
Piled all up?
In a pile.
Who was on the bottom?
We had a bread roll fight for like 3 on the bottom, yeah. I felt like I was. I don't know. I guess it was Spike, probably, because Spike was playing Max for us.
Right.
And there was also no discussion about, this is the movie we're making, and this is what you represent, and this. He just got right in there as Max, in our faces, and we became the Wild Things. And it was so cool to be with each other, because also you have that intimacy of your voices, you know, in the recording.
Right. Now, it's an odd way to act, because in most films you have actors who kind of get into their own headspace and they've got to be their own character. But that kind of physicality, when you know it's not going to be on screen, was that an adjustment?
I didn't think of it not being on screen. I was kind of shocked when I saw the movie and I wasn't in it. Honestly. I mean, it's right that it's the Wild Thing. That's the way it's supposed to be. But I was like, oh, right. We were just voices because I did feel so much a part of it. But it's a very cool way to do it. Yeah.
Were you given direction as to whether or not this was a kids' movie or for parents, for adults?
I know everyone says this, but it actually is for everyone. Although I personally didn't bring my kids to a movie until they were a little older. You know, you don't. Why a 3-year-old sitting in a dirty theater? I don't know. But
I saw a 3-year-old in The Aristocrats. A guy.
Oh, come on.
Swear to God, a guy brought his 3-year-old out to The Aristocrats, and I looked over and went, either that father is awesomely progressive, or he's going to be paying for this in therapy.
Yeah.
You know?
For sure.
Nice.
Therapy, I think.
For sure. So
He's number 2.
Do you remember the first movie you brought your kids to? Was it a discussion in the house?
Hi, how are you? Can't remember. I think it was Boogie Nights.
Well done.
No, it wasn't.
Now, your husband Bo made Cat in the Hat.
Yeah.
He made a children's film adaptation.
He took some heat.
He did take some heat. Did he give you any advice before you got into this?
Don't do it. No. No, but I would say I would get Bug and Spike. You know, they're going to come after you if you kill this story. Poor Bo. He directed Cat in the Hat, and it was his first time directing, and he was so excited to direct this monster movie. And people would say, "You killed the story." And he said, "Do you know what the story was? These kids get in trouble. Their mom comes home. Do you know what it was?" But you know, I guess they got themselves in trouble in the writing of that. And in this, I think they were very careful to not over-explain anything. You know, in the book, it says, that night in Max's room, a forest grew. And that's kind of what happens in the movie. It's not that exact, but that feeling is there, like, oh, now we're here.
Right.
It's not, and then see what happened. Is he imagined this, or he dreamt that, or, you know, nothing's explained. It's just up to you to put yourself into it.
So now, you've obviously played a lot of different characters in your life, and the fact that you get to play Judith and be in this kind of character means that you can extend yourself. So what we're going to do is take a break and come back with a little test for Catherine.
Oh, you're cruel.
5 lines, 5 movie styles, and we see if you can deliver it.
Oh, you're mean.
Are you up? But no, we do it out of love.
You do it with me.
We do it out of love.
You do it with me. You don't just throw it at me.
We'll be
You're
right back
with me,
with
baby.
Catherine O'Hara.
Let Wild Romper start.
Well done.
All right, we're back here with Catherine O'Hara. Before we go, I have to present you with a very important choice in life. Eugene Levy or a kick-ass Chevy, if you could have only one.
A kick-ass Eugene.
Oh, there you go, nice. So what I've got here is I've got a hat filled with genres, like movie styles, and a hat filled with movie lines, which you get to pick the movie line, the dialogue.
Yeah.
All right, and then I'm going to pick the genre, and you have to deliver that line in this style.
Oh, dear, okay.
All right, you ready for this? Okay, before you say it, oh, no. Okay, what's your line? Heartbreaking melodrama style, so melodramatic, heartbreaking. Do that line. If you need to look in my eyes to nail it, I'm there for you.
Oh my God. It's a 50-foot Hitler. And it's headed straight for Guelph. Hand me my crossbow!
Well done. I like that. Have you done that before?
That was like soap opera.
Yeah, but that was heavy melodramatic. Let's go. Okay, here's your next line. All right. That's important.
Reach that slowly, then I don't have to do that many.
Okay, hold on. Now, all right, now here's the Swedish art film style. So this is like, let the right one in. I don't know. Go for it.
Let Wild Romper start.
Well done. Last one, Mrs.
I'm sure that was a pretty look.
Actually, take this one here, but I'm not even going to pick a genre. You're going to do this one for me, okay?
Oh, come on.
Lola Heatherton.
Oh, I need more time. George, you just can't spring this on me like this. I think you've been playing me for a sap.
And then I get to do this like Sammy Maudlin. You did perfectly. You want to try one more time?
I don't know what I was trying to do. Lola trying to act.
Okay,
I couldn't.
Do your Katharine Hepburn.
Oh, Katharine Hepburn. I could only channel Marty Short doing. Ow! Ow! Oh! Ow! Ow! I think you're.
Film's called Where the Wild Things Are. It comes out this Friday. Catherine's great in it. Catherine O'Hara. We'll be right back with tomorrow's headlines tonight. Please come back tomorrow. The great Stephen Lewis is here on the red chair. Stephen Lewis on the hour tomorrow. Stephen's got a new campaign. Stephen's new campaign for the Stephen Lewis Foundation is called the Dare to Remember, and what he's doing is challenging you to do something extraordinary to help fight AIDS in Africa. So basically, people dare each other. You go, and if you're uncomfortable being a performer, you go busk. So tomorrow, Stephen's on the show. We've got a huge dare for him, a huge one. We'll see if he can do it. Plus, I know he's going to want me to do a dare, so I need your ideas. What should my dare be? Email us right here at the hour, and we'll take care of it. Thanks to Theo and Catherine. Thanks for watching. That's time. Here's tomorrow's headline tonight.